Hello everyone, factoring the 7th Winter 2020-21 update part 1. So here we go again, it's Sunday and it's time for another winter update. It's going to be a bit of a solar special. So in the first part of the video, we're going to be looking at things like sea surface temperature anomalies, Eurasian snow cover, what's going on with the hurricane season, QBO, all that stuff being the first half of this video. And then the second part of the video will very much be a solar special. We're going to show you what's going on with solar activity at the moment with the solar disk. We're going to bring up date with all of our trackers. We've got extra trackers to show you, and yeah, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So the second part of the video will be a solar special for the 7th Winter 2020 update. And then tomorrow, part 2 of the 7th Winter update, going to be looking at solar analogues. So you get to see what winters are like early in the new solar cycle, and that'll be premiered at 7 PM tomorrow. More about that at the end of the video. So it's going to be an epic 7th Winter 2020 update part 1. Please sit back, relax, enjoy, get yourself a cup of tea and you know, some nibbles and a comfy chair. We'll be here for some time. If you can't watch the video all in one go, then don't worry, the video will be kept on the Winter Updates page at GavsWeatherVids.com indefinitely. There'll be a written summary that goes with it as well. I'll try and get that written summary up for you tonight. If not tonight, it'll be tomorrow morning. And that will be absolutely fantastic. You'll be able to have a read of that and watch the written version on demand. I'm also going to tell you that I'm going to say a big thank you to everybody who has helped with this video. So I'm going to say thank you to Richard Traut, of course, for the wonderful winter updates gift, and also Richard's help, you know, King of Swingometer. So I'll talk you through everything that Richard has helped with in this video when we get to it. Later on, you're going to see lots and lots of trackers from good friend James Atquill. So James has helped a lot with this video. Shryan also has helped. So it really is a joint effort. Tomorrow's analogues very much inspired by Terry Scolding. So a joint effort. We're like an ensemble team, you know, working together. And thank you so much to everybody who has helped with this 7th Winter 2020-21 update. It's my birthday as I'm recording this at 10:15 on the 17th of October 2020. I've just finished an epic live stream. Thank you so much to everybody who made that live stream so incredibly special. It's made this birthday one of the most fantastic birthdays of my life. So thank you to everybody for making that live stream so very special. There will be another live stream coming up at 6 PM this evening. So we will be discussing this 7th Winter update. I'll be showing the Eurasian Climate Centre seasonal model for charts for Winter 2020-21 in that live stream. And I say that'll be from 6 o'clock this evening. Right, so I think that's pretty much everything that I've got to tell you. So let's get on then, shall we, with the 7th Winter 2020-21 update. Now, for this one, we're going to begin with the Swingometer. So, of course, this is bringing us up to date with how the winter updates are trending up to the end of last week's 6th Winter 2020 update. So this is like showing how the winter updates have trended, you know, throughout the season up to the end of last week's 6th Winter 2021 update part 2. It's been sent through by the King of Swing, Richard Traut. So this is it, and we have had another quite small swing, but another swing from mild to cold, so that now the swingometer is sitting at 50-50 between a mild winter being favoured with our winter update so far, and a cold winter being favoured with our winter updates so far. So yeah, there's nothing to choose between cold and mild now. 50-50, and that is a further swing from cold to mild from last week, and that is up to the 6th Winter 2020 update. You'll find out next week at the beginning of the 8th update how this 7th update has affected the swingometer. Will it produce a further swing from cold to mild, or will it swing back will it produce a further swing from mild to cold, I should say, or will it swing back from cold to mild? You shall find out next week when we bring you the swingometer once again. Thank you so much to our King of Swing, Richard Traut, for sending through the swingometer. Right, so I thought I'd just start this 7th update doing a little bit of pattern matching for September, just to close the door on September 2020. Really, so something a little bit different to start us off. This is how the 500 millibar height anomaly looks for September 2020, an anticyclonic month overall, with above average heights ridging in from the Atlantic into northwest Europe. Low pressure push northwards, and the jet stream is pushed north as well. So it was an anticyclonic month, quite a bit of high pressure. Now let's see how that compares. So I tried to find some close matches. This is the first one. But I found most of these are relatively recent, by the way. So none are going back like into the 1800s, even into the first half of the 20th century. This is the first one, 1989, with the above average heights ridging through the Atlantic into much of northern Europe. Below average heights up to north, jet stream is pushed northwards. What do you think about that one? So I think that's reasonably close, but the trough over Greenland is deeper in 1989. But I think that's quite close. Please let me know in the comments which years you think are the closest. This is September 2003, so let's just get rid of 1989. This is September 2003. What do you think to that one? Again, we've got the above average heights building in from the Atlantic, low pressure up to the north, jet stream pushed northwards. You'll never get a 100% like for like match, so we're looking to try and find the closest sort of matches. What do you think to that one? 2003 with 2020. Please let me know in the comments what you think. This is 2005, September 2005. Again, with low pressure up to the north, higher pressure ridging in from the Atlantic into northern Europe. Again, the jet stream doing something a little bit like that. So again, let's compare 2020 with 2005. Again, there are similarities, not a complete, not a complete match, but I think there are some similarities with that one. That's 2016. What do you think about 2016? Again, the ridge from the Atlantic into Western Europe and Northern Europe, low pressure up to north. The thing with that one is that the jet stream is more sort of south to north there, and the lower pressure is a little bit further south in the Atlantic. So I'm not quite as pleased with that one. I don't think that's as close a match, really. There are some similarities, but I don't think September 2016 is all that close a match. And then we've got September 2018. Again, what do you think about that one? I think, again, there are some similarities there, ridging in the Atlantic and through there, low pressure through here, jet streams pushing through, something a little bit like that. So again, I think there are some similarities, September 2020 and September 2018. Right, putting those winters together. So this is how 1989-1990 comes out, with below average heights out to our north and west, winds are in from the southwest. So this is a very wet and mild winter in 1989-1990. That's a very mild, wet, Atlantic-driven winter. Next up, we have winter of 2003-2004. This one has higher pressure out to our west. It has higher pressure through here, lower pressure is through here, and so this 2003-2004 relatively mild winter, but it does get cold late on. It gets cold later on into February of 2004. This is 2005-2006. So what do you think about that one? Above average heights again to the north, winds are in from an easterly direction with that one. It looks like it should be a very cold winter, but it wasn't. It's just one of those winters that never really came together. But it looks like it should be cold, and on another day, if we've been a little bit more lucky, there's a very, very cold, severely cold spell in January of 2006 for northern and eastern Europe. And in another, if we'd been had a little bit more luck, we probably would have brought that severe cold air into west of Europe. We just sort of stopped at the gates of Europe, really, over in the east. But another time, like, it will probably all have lined up to produce a very severely cold spell. We was very unlucky with that winter 2005-2006. It did get very cold later in February and through March. 2016-2017 is a mild anticyclonic winter, very banal sort of winter with high pressure dominating, bringing lots of dry and mild conditions. Then we've got 2018, 2019, which was another very strange winter. This one with higher pressure both to the south and also blocking to the north, and it just came out as like another very mild winter, especially so in February of 2019, and reasonably dry as well. Putting all of that together, this is how all December's combined are coming out with our December pattern matches. So December anticyclonic, high pressure in control, generally dry and mild with those Decembers. All January's combined look like that. So higher pressure over the country again. Looks like an anticyclonic signal really for a lot of these winters. So yeah, pretty dry in January. There is a little bit of colder potential for January due to the alignment of the ridge. You notice some higher pressure up towards Svalbard and in the North Atlantic. So you could envisage something a little bit colder coming in from the east in January. All February combined looks like that from the September pattern matches with high pressure again over and to the east of the country. Lower pressure is out to the west. Winds are drawing up from a southerly direction. So again, quite an anticyclonic signal for those Februaries, and pretty mild as well. And all March is also looking pretty mild with our pattern matches as well. Higher pressure over and to south country. Lower pressure is up to the north. Jet streams push northwards. All winters combined from these September pattern matches look like that it is an anticyclonic signal for these winters with higher pressure over country and ridging northwards too. Right then, so remember that with the pattern matches, they don't form the, they don't end up as part of the winter forecast, really. So it's just because it's objective. So one person could look at like those patterns and think that yes, Gav's got that right, they are reasonable. Because somebody else might look at them and think, no, I don't agree with this. These years look closer. So it's all very subjective. So they don't really form part of the final winter forecast. So a little bit of fun. Right, so I'm going to pause the video there. When we come back, we're going to resume. We've been talking for 11 minutes, so we'll resume looking at things like sea surface temperature anomalies, what's going on with hurricane season, Eurasian snow cover as well, coming up in the next part. So I shall see you in around 2 seconds' time. See you soon. Okay, we're back on my 43rd birthday. Wow. Hello. Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us on this 7th Winter 2020-21 update part 1. So I'm recording this at nearly 10:30 on the 17th of October. It's my 43rd birthday, 17th of October 2020. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to part 1 of the 7th Winter 2020-21 update. So we are ready to resume now. Let's carry on then, and we're going to start off in this section looking at sea surface temperature anomalies. By the way, the pattern matches that we're just looking at really do close the door on September data now. So that is the end of September data. Well and truly, the door is firmly shut on September. Okay, so let's have a look then. This is how sea surface temperature anomalies were looking across the oceans when we did last week's 6th Winter 2020-21 update. We have 4 areas of interest. Of course, we've got the ENSO region just here, the equatorial Pacific Ocean. We've got the Northern Pacific over there. We've got the Indian Ocean over here. And then we've got the North Atlantic over there. So these are our 4 areas of interest. That's how the oceans were looking when we did last week's 6th Winter 2020-21 update. Let's have a look at the latest then. This is it. So this is as of the 16th of October, which is Friday, 16th of October, of course. Let's deal with the ENSO region first of all. So yes, that's how things looked last week in the ENSO region. That's how things look this week in the ENSO region. I think we have seen further cooling of the ENSO region over here in the eastern part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. Anyway, probably no change to the central and western part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. Obviously, we have a signature for La Nina. This is going to be a La Nina winter. Winter 2020-21 will be a La Nina winter. There's no getting away from that. The only question, we've got 2 questions. Will it be an eastern-based La Nina or will it be a central-western-based La Nina? And how strong will this La Nina get? I don't think there's any getting away from the fact that this will be a La Nina winter. Moving into the northern part of the Pacific Ocean, so let's have a look at the northern Pacific. Very little change up there, I think, over the past week. So yeah, sea surface temperature is generally remaining above average across much of the northern Pacific. Things have got a little bit cooler through there. It's trying to cool down, I think, in the northeastern Pacific. It wants to try and cool down, but generally those sea surface temperatures are still looking pretty warm, actually, through much of the northern and northeastern Pacific Ocean. It's been like a semi-permanent feature that we've seen up there for several years now, other than 2017-18, generally, right way back to 2013-14. It's been pretty warm up in that northeastern Pacific Ocean, and whilst it is trying to cool down a little bit, it has tried to cool down a little bit over the past week, it is trying to cool down a little bit. Generally, it still looks pretty cool up there. Over in the Indian Ocean, again, that situation right now, how does that compare with last week? So I think the Indian Ocean has possibly cooled a little bit, especially in the northern part of the Indian Ocean. Southern part of the Indian Ocean looks a little bit warmer than average. So very little change really, but probably a little bit cooler up in the northern Indian Ocean. And then over into the North Atlantic, again, that's how things are looking in the North Atlantic right now. This is how things were looking last week. So very little change again in the Northern Atlantic. The tropics, tropical Atlantic and also the Caribbean remaining warmer than average. We're probably going to get more storms coming up there in the next week or two. The model output is right. You would suspect that will be the case given how warm the sea surface temperatures are still are through the tropical Atlantic. Further north, generally it's warmer than average through much of the Northern Atlantic as well. As we established earlier on in the winter update, the Atlantic is the warmest it's been for quite a few years overall. And yeah, so we've got a pretty warm Atlantic Ocean to take us into winter 2020-21. We will probably have another look through the archives, maybe next week or the week after, and see how we're doing with the Atlantic sea surface temperatures compared to past years through the archives. We did that like about around 3 or 4 weeks ago. Probably do it again in a week or so's time. In the Norwegian Sea, again, it's pretty warm up there. Generally on this side of the planet, the oceans are looking pretty warm. This is the temperature change. This is how temperatures change in terms of the sea surface temperatures over the past week. So there hasn't been all that much change really through most of these oceans. So actually, interestingly, the Northern Pacific looks like it got a little bit cooler in the past week. Otherwise, the Indian Ocean got a little bit cooler in the Northern Pacific. Otherwise, it's a little bit warmer in the Southern Pacific. In the Equatorial Pacific Ocean, in the ENSO region, again, we have some areas that are cooling, particularly the central western areas. The eastern part of the actual Pacific Ocean looks like it's actually warmed a little bit. That could be telling us that this La Nina is going to become central and east and western based, I should say. This might be developing from like an eastern based La Nina to a central western based La Nina. In a future winter update, we will go through like the analogues and reanalyze what it means, like an eastern based La Nina to a central western based La Nina. That is something we're going to do for you in a future winter update. In the North Pacific, generally it looks like it is cooling down through much of the Northern Pacific, but we have these areas that are still trying to keep things pretty warm. So it's not a linear cool down, but generally it does look as though the Northern Pacific is still trying desperately to cool down, and has cooled down a little bit in quite a few areas over the past 7 days. In the North Atlantic, again, the tropics are still warming. Very interesting. We're very late now in the hurricane and tropical storm season. You would expect after all the storms that we've had through this season, we will probably be seeing the tropical Atlantic cooling down. But actually, it's still warming up in the tropical Atlantic. So the tropics, the tropical Atlantic, Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, all of those areas where we get these storms are still looking prime, really, for more development, even though we are coming to the end of the season. Further north, the Northern Atlantic does look as though it has cooled down a little bit. Potentially, it might have cooled down a little bit over the past 7 days. So this is from tropicaltidbits.com. This is showing the day-by-day temperature change through the central part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean, region 3.4. You can see that gradually through October, temperature is lowering day by day. So you see the trend is definitely downwards. It's like back in July when we was around ENSO neutral. So the trend has definitely been downwards over the past 3 months, which we know. We are in a La Nina. And so now we've gone under 1 degree below average just here. Each one of these blue dots represents a temperature line for each individual day. You see what I mean? So you can see that we are now sort of down below 1 degree. So we're still probably just about a week landing in territory. But if it drops too much more, you know, if it gets down to like 1.5 degrees below average, that will get us firmly into moderate landing territory. So it'll be interesting to see how much further this drops. But remember, in the eastern extra-Pacific Ocean, things have warmed a little bit up there. So this landing, it looks like it's going to be more central and western base, if anything. CFSV2 still forecasting a very strong La Nina, a super Nina, really, which is something I don't think we have ever had, going underneath 2 degrees below average with the ensemble plume forecast. So there's 2 degrees just there. So yeah, very strong La Nina is being forecast. I still think it's going to pull up short of that. I think it'll still pull up somewhere around here, around 1.5 degrees below average at the lowest. But we shall see, and time will, of course, tell. This is from Queensland Government. This is the SOI. So the Southern Oscillation Index is just an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state. It doesn't drive anything in its own terms, just tells us what the atmosphere is doing. So when the SOI is positive, then the atmospheric state will be reflective of La Nina. When the SOI is negative, atmospheric state will be reflective of El Nino. And a lot of positivity of the SOI over the past few weeks. So these are our barometric pressure readings just here for Darwin and also for Tahiti. And then this column just here is the SOI number overall. You see most of these numbers are positive, plus 18 there, plus 10 there, plus 13, plus 13, plus 19, plus 14, plus 11, and so on and so on and so on. Very much an atmospheric state that's reflective of La Nina. However, past 3 or 4 days, we've got the 14th of October coming out at -2, 15th of October coming out -7, 16th of October coming out -6, and 17th of October coming out -9. They're negative numbers, and they're reflective of an El Nino type atmospheric setup. If that was to continue, then it would probably put a dampener on this La Nina, but of course it's only a few days. Generally the SOI is still trending positive, although the 30-day SOI average has dropped a little bit from like there to there, but only like a few days have done that, and I think generally the trend is still very positive with the SOI. The La Nina goes on. Right, this is for the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season. This is the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season page from Wikipedia, and the scores on the doors are looking like this. So we have had 26 depressions so far. We have had 25 tropical storms so far. Incredible number. Had 9 hurricanes. That's a big number too. And 3, which is a smaller number, 3 Category 3, major Category 3 or above hurricanes. It's been a massive season in terms of numbers, but in terms of ACE, accumulated cyclone energy, it has not been quite as big. It's been updated by our good friend Schreien Bruin has updated this for us. And so the ACE is kind of like the amount of energy that each of these individual storms are giving out. They all give out their own, their own significant amount of energy. And an ACE is a way of quantifying how much energy for a season all of the storms and hurricanes have given out. The categories are like below normal, near normal, above average, and hyperactive. You can see back here in 1858, for example, below normal. So let's scroll down, and we come down through the years to our latest year. This is 2020 just here, and we see that up to 17th of October. Today we're recording this video. We have a total ACE number of 123.10. That is unchanged from last week. ACE is unchanged from last week, and so are the numbers as well, by the way. So 25 tropical storms, 9 hurricanes, 3 major hurricanes. That is all unchanged from last week. We've had a much quieter week this week, and so nothing has changed over the past week. Everything is very static, and everything is very stable in terms of hurricane season. But as I say, we've got more hurricanes to come, I think, in the next week or two. Certainly more next week or two. Certainly more tropical storms. This is the QBO, the quasi-biennial oscillation. So QBO is a way of measuring the strength of zonal westerlies. Essentially, when the QBO is easterly, then zonal westerlies will be weakened. This is the easterly QBO just here. When the QBO is westerly, the zonal westerlies will be strengthened. Now, it should be in an easterly QBO. This blue-green area here should have descended down through the levels of the atmosphere like that. It didn't. So the westerly QBO hung on, as we know. However, we have still got the easterly QBO at the top of the atmosphere in the stratosphere, and if we zoom in on this, we can see that over the past week, actually, the easterly QBO has begun to strengthen at the very top of the stratosphere. Now, we have seen this before, and no stage has that easterly QBO, despite trying to strengthen in the top of the stratosphere, so this is like 10 HPA right at the very top of the stratosphere. At no time over the past few weeks and months has the easterly QBO been able to descend down into the troposphere, but we have, because you can tell the strength by the intensity of the colour, so we've got pretty deep blues there, and so we can see that over the past over the past week we have seen a strengthening of the easterly QBO at the top of the stratosphere. But that is all I would say about that. There's no suggestion that this is descending down into the troposphere yet. We just have to keep an eye on it and see whether this easterly QBO might start to descend down into the troposphere. But at the moment, it certainly doesn't look like it's going to do that in the near future. So all eyes on the QBO in the coming days. This is from the GWV. I haven't seen this so far in winter updates, but I thought we'd probably start showing this now. So this is showing the current temperature at 10 HPA against a trend. So the grey 10 HPA in the North Pole over the Arctic, in the stratosphere over the Arctic. So you see that the trend line, the grey line here, showing that this time of year temperature should be cooling at 10 HPA, but it is actually a little bit colder than average now, 10 HPA in the stratosphere. You want a cold winter. You don't want to see the stratosphere getting too cold, because when the stratosphere gets very cold, that kind of starts to ramp up the polar vortex. And the polar vortex is the energy that drives the westerlies, if you like. So you don't want to see the stratosphere going too cold, but at the moment, at 10 HPA, the stratosphere is a little bit colder than average, and this black line looks like it's dropping. It looks like it's been dropping throughout October, actually, and it is now a little bit under the long-term 30-year average. This is from weatheriscool.com. This is showing the strength of the zonal winds. So, of course, as temperatures get colder in the stratosphere at this time of year, so the zonal winds will get stronger. So, essentially, as you see the trend line, as the temperature drops at 10 HPA in the stratosphere, as temperature gets colder, so the polar vortex will get stronger. So, we will see the trend line with polar vortex, or zonal westerlies, if you like, we'll see that strengthening and lifting up. So lots of different lines on here. This is from weatheriscool.com. The most important line is trend line, of course, because that is showing that this time of year we should be strengthening the zonal westerlies. Red dash line is last season, so that's the polar vortex of doom, regularly record-breakingly strong zonal winds. Current position of the zonal winds is actually to be a little bit weaker than average. That's that pale blue line just there, slightly weaker than average zonal winds right now at 10 HPA in the stratosphere over the North Pole. Inputting some forecasts, so despite the fact that the temperature at 10 HPA over North Pole, by the way, is a bit cold now, which actually solar winds are a little bit weaker than average right now, which is interesting. It's a little bit of a discrepancy, therefore, perhaps between like the temperature at 10 HPA and the strength of solar winds, but there might be a bit of a time lag on that. Look at this, it's the GFS ensembles, and you see that the solar winds are actually being forecast to become much stronger in the next couple of weeks. So starting off pretty weak for week 1, but week 2 really powering up the solar winds. That's probably in response to the temperature becoming colder at 10 HPA. So there is a little bit of time lag between temperature dropping in the stratosphere and the solar winds powering up. But GFS ensembles are forecasting solar winds to become quite strong, stronger than average by the time we get through to the end of October. Let's just have a look at CFSV2. That's his blue line just here. So they're generally, CFSV2, let's just pull this up a little bit. So CFSV2 is generally keeping zonal winds like a little bit weaker than average through November, and then dropping it down into a reversal during December and January. That's could be in association with a sudden stratospheric warming. However, the CFSV2 seems to have a bit of a bias to weaken zonal winds too much. So if we put in the bias corrected CFS, then actually you can see that through much of the time in the next 2 or 3 months, zonal winds have been forecast to be quite close to or a little bit below average. There are a couple that are actually going for a record-breakingly strong zone of wind. Thank you so much to weatheriscool.com for showing that. Arctic oscillation observed and forecast. Remember, this is just an index maps reflecting the atmospheric state over North Pole, not driving anything in its own terms, just tells what the atmosphere is doing. So at the moment, the AO is negative. That tells us we've got blocking over the Arctic. That's the reason we had quite a cold week, because we had got blocking, high pressure over the Arctic. However, look at this. GFS ensembles forecasting the AO Arctic oscillation to move into very negative, into very positive territory as we go towards the end of October. So we've got the temperature 10 HPA cooling. We've got the zonal winds getting stronger, and we've got the Arctic oscillation moving into positive territory. Everything, therefore, is telling us that the polar vortex is back in business, and we're going to see a powering up of the polar vortex and a powering up of the zonal flow and zonal westerlies as we come towards the end of October and possibly to the start of November. NAO observed and forecast is also at the moment negative territory as we move towards the end of October into the start of November. Yes, the NAO is also powering up into positivity. So everything, therefore, everything is telling us that in the next couple of weeks we're going to see the westerlies and the polar vortex, the solar winds, and all of it powering up. That's not to say that that will be impactful for the winter, but certainly, like in the next couple of weeks, westerlies are going to be powering up. Lastly, for this section of the 7th Winter 2021 update part 1, we're going to look at Eurasian snow cover. So this is how things are currently looking in terms of Eurasian snow cover. Right now, we've made more gains. Look at this, with snow cover extending back into central parts of Russia right now. Most of eastern Russia is covered. Much of western Russia, though, and Scandinavia is not covered with snow. How does that compare with all the years back to 1998? Well, this is last year. This is 2019. So what do you think to that? I think we have got more Eurasian snow cover than this time last year, but less in Scandinavia. Please let me know in the comments, and as it's been premiered in the live chat, which years you think are closest to 2020 for Eurasian snow cover. That is 2018. What do you think about 2018? I think we've got more snow cover actually this year than in 2018, although in 2018 the snow cover was further westwards. That's 2017. What do you think about that? Well, I think we're quite close, actually, to 2017. I think that's probably a pretty close year. Whoops. I think that's probably a pretty close year in 2017. Okay, let's go through 2016. I think we're behind 2016. That's 2016 just there. I think we are definitely behind 2015. Look at that, that's 2015. Yep, we're behind 2015 for snow cover. We're also behind 2014, quite clearly. We're behind 2014. We're probably behind 2013 as well, actually, I would have thought, just about. That's 2012. I think pretty quite closely matched to 2012, though the areas of the cover are a little bit different. But averaging all that, we're probably not all that far away from 2012. We might even be slightly ahead of 2012. That's 2011. I think we were ahead of 2011, quite definitely. That's 2010. What do you think about that? We might be quite close to 2010, actually. Certainly for Eurasian snow cover. Perhaps a little bit behind for Scandinavian, though. That's 2009, so we're ahead overall of 2009, but of course, 2009, what happened is that there was a very rapid build-up of snow cover across Scandinavia, so we're behind the snow cover across Scandinavia, but I think we're ahead for Eurasia. That's 2008, again, we could well be quite closely matched to 2008. That's 2007, I think we're ahead of 2007 for snow cover right now. We're behind 2016, certainly for 2006, I should say, certainly for Eurasian snow cover. That's 2005. What do you think about that? And probably quite closely matched to 2005, maybe a little bit ahead. That's 2004. I think we're behind 2004. That's 2003. We're well ahead of 2003, so doing much better than in 2003. We're well behind 2002, quite clearly. We're probably quite closely matched to 2001, maybe a little bit behind. That's 2000. Again, probably not all that far away from 2000, maybe a little bit ahead. That's 1999. So 1999, what do you think about that one? Probably quite closely matched to 99. And finally, that's 1998. So for that one, I think a little bit behind 1998. probably. So as we have been really through this season, we're doing significantly better than some. We're doing significantly better than some years of snow cover. We're doing worse for other years. So we're probably somewhere in the middle, really. Right, okay, next week we'll go all the way back to 1960s again. I know you all enjoyed that last week, so we'll do that. We'll go back to 1960s with Siberian and Russian snow cover in next week's 8th Winter 2020-21 update. Right, I'm going to pause the video there, and when we come back, we're going to do the solar section of this 7th Winter update. So lots and lots coming up about solar activity, and I shall therefore see you very, very soon. See you shortly. Bye for now, and see you in around 2 seconds. Okay, we're back, and we are ready to resume the 7th Winter 2020-21 update part 1. Please give us a like on this video if you have enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments what you think. Make sure to subscribe to the GavsWeatherVids YouTube channel. We're going to get on with the solar section now of the 7th Winter 2020 update. So this is how the solar disk is looking on our side of this today from solarham.net. So we have got one sunspot region just here. Despite that, solar activity is at very low levels, and it is expected to remain at very low levels for the next 3 days. This is the GavsWeatherVids Solar Activity Tracker, updated by our good friend James Atquill, up to the 18th of October. And we can see that our trend lines are just ticking up a little bit at the moment. So the orange line depicts each individual day's worth of sunspot activity. And so you see we have been through a little bit more activity over the past week or so after having a very prolonged run where the orange line was sort of flatlining away on the floor of the chart. But now, yes, solar activity is ticking up just a little bit, and that is picking up the red and green lines, our trend lines. They are lifting up just ever so slightly at the moment, but that is still a really minimal level of solar activity. James has also done an extended solar activity tracker for us, covering the whole of 2019-2020, and this just again confirms the idea that we have passed solar minimum. Really, we've moved from, or we have passed from one cycle to another. So 2019 is like the minimum year of solar cycle 24, and you can see that by how little activity there was overall. So this takes all the way back to January 2019, just there up to present over here, and so you can see that through much of 2019, especially through the middle part of 2019, so like for summer and the autumn, there was very, very little activity indeed, and that went on even into the winter as well. But gradually, and so that keeps like the trend line showing thick black, on this chart the thick black and thick red lines, that keeps them on the floor of the chart. But you can see that over the past, particularly like since late summer, we have just seen a little uptick in activity, really. So yeah, I think that definitely gives us the idea, stretched out over a couple of years, that 2019 was definitely the solar minimum year, and 2020 was at a very low level of solar activity. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is a really low level of solar activity, but it does give the idea that 2020 is like a slightly more active year for the first year of solar cycle 25, but still at a very, very low level of solar activity. Right, this has been set through by our good friend Richard Traut. So this is showing spotless days and the current spotless stretch. So as we have sunspots right now on the solar disk, we have not got a spotless stretch. So the current spotless stretch is 0 days. For 2020, overall, we have had 204 days without any solar activity. Without any sunspots, they are 70% of the year. Compares to 2019, with 2,081 days without sunspots, that is 77% of the year. So again, just gives you the idea that 2019 was solar minimum year, 2020 was at a very low level of solar activity. Is definitely like the first year of solar cycle number 25. It all looks very similar to the way we went from solar cycle 23-24. So solar minimum year of solar cycle 23 was in 2008, with 73% of that year without sunspots. 2009 had 71% of the year without sunspots. So again, it just gives the idea that the way this solar cycle is developing, solar cycle number 25, very early on in it, but the way it's developing looks very similar to the way solar cycle 24 started off, a very slow start into the solar cycle, therefore. This is showing, so James updated this, it's showing all solar cycles right away from number 1 to now, can you believe it, on this chart, number 25. So number 1 is up here, number 25, so sorry, number 25, the black line down there. And if you look very, very closely, we've got to zoom in, perhaps, on this. Shall I pull you in? So all of these individual lines, by the way, they are all like individual solar cycles right way from 1 down to 25. The red line, the thick red line, is solar cycle number 24, by the way. So that's pretty much over now. Of course, we know we've gone from solar cycle 24 to solar cycle 25. But if I zoom you in, can I zoom us in on this? Let's have a look. Down here, this black line just here is the very start of solar cycle 25. You see what it is low. That is really low, isn't it? There's only like 2 that are as low as this, which I think are the delta minimum years of number 5 and number 6. Although we are very early in the solar cycle, we're only a few months in, you can see that we are at the moment very, very much at the lowest end of the range with that. We are even sort of under solar cycle 24. Actually, that might be solar cycle 24, that red line. I think that is solar cycle 24, actually, that red line, isn't it? So we're like on a par, very much on a par with how we started solar cycle 24 for this solar cycle, with only one solar cycle, this one, which I think is either 5 or 6, that is lower. This is showing all solar cycles, or showing the weakest solar cycles, I should say. So with this one, we've got solar cycles 5, 6, 12, 14, 16, 24, and of course, solar cycle number 25 is now included in that. So again, you can see that we're down here, we're on the floor. Yes, we're with these are the weakest solar cycles, and we are like at the weakest end of the weakest solar cycles so far for number 25. It is very, very early days for solar cycle 25, but all of the trackers here are telling us that yes, indeed, this is starting off as a very, very weak solar cycle, very much on a par with the last one, with solar cycle 24. I don't think we'll be seeing this again now we have ended solar cycle 24, but this again confirms the way that solar cycle 12 and 24 have been tracking one another. Both way went up into their sort of from their minimums to their maximums, and then down from maximums to minimums. So where we are right now is just here. So again, as it has been throughout much of this, actually, solar cycle 24 has actually been a little bit weaker than solar cycle 20 and solar cycle 12. Which was from 1877 to 1890, I think. So you can see how solar cycle 12 maybe just here, a little bit of a flourish, but solar cycle 24 very much sort of petered out. So yeah, the two solar cycles, 12 and 24, mirrored one another quite a lot, but generally most of the time 12 was actually a little bit weaker. 24, I should say, is actually a little bit weaker than 12. So this is showing solar cycle number 24 into solar cycle number 25. So again, we see that solar cycle 24 had a very, very slow start, went into its maximum, and then went down into its minimum. Where we are right now is just there. So, or where we were, where we have been, I suppose, is just there. So yeah, very much a case that solar cycle 24 ends on a very, very weak note indeed. Richard sent this one through. So this again telling us that the overlap has pretty much gone now, because with the two solar cycles, there will always be an overlap from one solar cycle to another. So the blue line is showing sunspots from solar cycle number 24. The red lines are showing, or the red blocks showing sunspots from solar cycle number 25. So you see when in 2019, especially later on in 2019, we're getting an overlap. Some of the solar cycles belong to 24, some of the solar cycles belong to 25. But increasingly through 2020, we see those blue bars disappearing, and basically all the sunspots now pretty much belong to solar cycle 25. So again, that does confirm the idea that solar cycle 25 is well and truly underway. This is our 11-year rolling average of sunspots. So again, you can see that with this, this takes all the way back to solar cycle number 1, by the way, back in 1760. So this is a Dalton minimum just here, where we had a very, very low level of sunspot activity. Then we have a bit of a ramp up in the second half of the 1800s, and then they drop away again at the end of the 1800s, and then through the 20th century, sunspots really ramp up until the last few solar cycles have been weakening, and of course that's the current position from 24 to 25. Now, where we are with this solar cycle is that we basically have the weakest solar cycle since around the turn of the century, when we was down here around 2012, 2013, something like that. So if the solar cycle 25 is like as weak as this solar cycle, as weak as solar cycle 24, then we'll be around here. But if this solar cycle becomes any weaker, say this solar cycle is weaker than solar cycle number 24, then that will start to take us down to this level. We'll go down to like Dalton minimum levels of solar cycles 5 and 6 in the early part of the 1800s. So it will be interesting to see, won't it? Is this solar cycle going to be like another 24? And this one just here, back around the turn of the 20th century, or early 20th century, or could it be a little bit stronger, or could it be a little bit weaker? If it's a little bit weaker, then we will be tumbling down into Dalton minimum levels with this solar cycle, which would be absolutely fascinating if we do that. And then lastly, and again, I think this will be the last time that you see this. So you know there's been this connection between solar cycle 12 and 24 in terms of the winter CETs as well. There certainly was early on in the solar cycle. So the first winter of the two solar cycles, 12 and 24, were mild on average. Second winter and third winter and fourth winters of two solar cycles were cold on average. Then the fifth, sixth, seventh winters of two solar cycles were average to milder than average. That one comes out around average again for both of those two winters from solar cycle 12 and 24. But then we get the break of that pattern for this winter just here, which is 1885, 1886 for solar cycle 12, which was cold and average, and 2015-16 for solar cycle 24, which was mild and average. And since then, basically the trend has been broken, although it did come back on trend there. 1887, 1888, 2017, 2018 were both a little bit colder than average. Anyway, we've like reached the final winter, what would have been the final winter of solar cycle number 12. But of course, this is going to be the first winter of solar cycle 24, solar cycle 25, we think. But you can see that at the end of the solar cycle end of solar cycle 12, actually the winter went colder. The winter goes down, winter CT goes down for that final winter. Whereas this time, again, I'm not sure how relevant this is really, because this is like going to be a solar cycle 25 winter really. But we thought we'd include it because we have been showing this through winter updates. But yeah, so for this winter, we're going to be somewhere. That's like last winter, by the way. That's 2019, 2020, just there. So we're probably going to be here. So yeah, will we fall down as we did at the end of solar cycle 12, or will we stay up here? Be interesting to see, won't it? I don't think you'll be seeing that again. And of course, the future trackers are all going to be reflective of solar cycle 25 from the next solar Sunday, which we will do at the beginning of, when are we going to do that? We're going to do that at the beginning of February, I think, or sometime in February. Now, the solar special for the 7th winter update will continue tomorrow for the second part 2 of the 7th winter 2020 update, when we're going to be looking at our analogs, our winter analogs tomorrow in part 2 of the 7th winter update. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Richard does a little gift for this. Miss this one at your peril. Monday 19th of October, 7 PM UK time. That's when we're going to be premiering part 2 of the 7th winter update. It's going to be amazing. It will be incredible, and you'll get to see what winters early in the new solar cycle are like in that one, or what they can be like through analogs and reanalysis. That will be part 2 of the 7th winter 2020 update for you tomorrow at 7 PM. If you enjoyed this video, then please click like, and don't forget to subscribe to GavsWeatherVids YouTube channel, and make sure you tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids. That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Right, it's been an epic this. We've gone on for 48 minutes. I hope you have enjoyed this 7th winter 2020 update part 1. I've certainly had a blast doing it. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here with us on this 7th Winter Update. We are going to see you at 6 p.m. for our live stream. So see you at 6 p.m. This evening. This video will be placed on Winter Updates page. There will be a written summary that goes with it as well. You'll be able to have a read of that on demand and have a watch a video whenever you want and all of that good stuff. Thank you so much, everybody. We're going to see you live at 6 p.m. for the live stream, but for the 7th Winter 2020 update part 1. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. Make sure you check in to the live stream tonight and part 2 at 7 p.m. tomorrow. Bye for now.